On Sunday, the Cleveland Browns beat the Dallas Cowboys. And there's a lot to be said about this game. I personally learned a lot of information from watching what happened. We're going to talk in a minute about the Dallas Cowboys. But I want to start with Cleveland because I find them incredibly compelling, incredibly interesting. They're 3-1, which is really cool. And first of all, I love this. I love Cleveland. Cleveland's been a city that has struggled for a long, long time. So anytime we watch Cleveland have success, I go, oh, yes! Like, holy crap, that's crazy. It feels like the little engine that could. And I don't know how anybody can really hate or root against Cleveland unless you're in their division and you play them every year, or you hate their fan base, which I don't go to. I have no idea. I don't really. I'm kind of a non-bipartisan person. I try to be. And we're only 4 games in, but it feels like the new coach, the new general manager, it's going incredibly well in Cleveland. Things are off to a great start. And I think it feels like they're turning things around. I mean, Cleveland is figuring out how to win, what brand of football they need to play to make it possible, and I just love what they're doing. They ran the ball for 307 yards on Sunday. Myles Garrett, their defensive end, is now a gigantic problem for anybody playing on the offensive line in the NFL. You cannot leave Myles Garrett in a one-on-one situation. I am hoping that the Cowboys did not seem to understand how important it is to not leave Myles Garrett in a one-on-one situation. It's like they didn't take that matchup seriously. He dominated that. And let me understand. If you're going to play the Browns moving forward, you got to understand Myles Garrett is going to dominate you if you play him in a one-on-one matchup. It's just not. He needs to have more respect from the NFL. Now, and by the way, he's a former number 1 overall pick. I mean, it's kind of interesting. A lot of number 1 overall picks feel like they're disappointing, or they're like, we talk about busts all the time. Nobody gives people credit when they are a number 1 overall pick and they're phenomenal. And Myles Garrett is absolutely phenomenal. And it feels like nobody's really, I don't know if this is how you feel. I've never gotten messages from people saying, can you believe how great Myles Garrett is? Nobody talks about him. And he's phenomenal. He got a gigantic contract. He looks really, really good. He's 100% panned out. And I love watching him play. Now, I have no doubt that when Kevin Stefanski, the new head coach of the Browns, was in the running for the Cleveland Browns coaching job, I am certain that even before he was offered the job, he looked at Cleveland and said, I want that opportunity because I'm sure he looked at that roster and thought, ooh, you know what? I can do a lot with that team. With those players, I can make that work. I'm sure he had confidence going in. And you look at Cleveland right now, they have Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Austin Hooper at tight end. Like, they are rolling. And it is really fun to watch. Cleveland finally got a coach who knows how to use their talent in an effective manner. Hallelujah. It's so awesome. I'm so glad to see it. There's really only one question left, actually, about the Cleveland Browns, in my opinion, because they're running the ball well. Their defense is playing better. Myles Garrett is phenomenal. The question is, can Baker Mayfield, their quarterback, use his arm to win when it all depends on him? He's been really efficient this year. The Browns are running the ball really, really well. And it does not feel like a coincidence that the Browns have been better when Baker throws the ball less. And it's weird, but at some point, Cleveland's going to run into a team where their dynamic running game is taken away. At some point, they're going to need to rely on Baker Mayfield to win a game with his arm throwing the football. And, can Baker do that? We're not going to know until that moment happens, I think, down the road. Although some people would argue, and I have a really good argument saying that, well, we've already seen Baker Mayfield in a situation where he had to win a game with his arm, and it didn't happen. Week 1 against the Ravens, the Browns lost that game 38-6. And Baker threw the ball 39 times. He threw the most of any game all year, and he was his least efficient. It was one of his worst games passing. We're only 4 games in. It's a small sample size. People point to that and go, I have no confidence Baker can win with his arm. I understand that. Now, to be clear, I watched the entire Browns and Cowboys game. When I talk about a football game, 99% of the time I watch the entire game. I think people are telling me you got to start saying it more often because people don't understand. I don't look at box scores. I don't look at highlights. I watch entire football games. Like, it takes hours and hours and hours. I don't think people realize, like, part of why my show is so late all the time is because how do you watch 32 games in 2 days? You don't. It takes forever. And so I watched every single snap of the game. There was a 3rd and 5 for the Cleveland Browns where 6 minutes left, by the way, a key down. The Browns were up 11 points. And Baker Mayfield had Odell Beckham Jr. wide open down the left sideline and simply missed. It was a bad miss. It gave the Cowboys actually another opportunity to be on offense. The Cowboys went down the field. They made it a 3-point game after that miss on 3rd and 5. Baker could have put the game away, and he didn't. And that 3rd and 5, paired with the Baltimore Ravens game, does not put a lot of confidence in Baker Mayfield. There's going to be a time where the Browns are not able to run the ball and not able to lean on that. And the question is, will Baker Mayfield deliver in that moment? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm really fascinated. Evidence so far says no, actually, which I like Baker. I think a lot of people hate Baker. I'm not a Baker Mayfield hater. I think he's interesting. I'd like to see him succeed. I think his mouth gets him in trouble a lot. But I also understand him. And as a human being, I look at Baker Mayfield and go, he's emotional. Like he wants to win. He wants to succeed, and he hates being slighted. And I totally get that. I hate getting hate. I hate when people are unfair to me. I hate when people don't look at my heart and judge me on one stupid thing rather than who I am as a human being. So I understand Baker Mayfield, I think, a lot more than other people might, because I just get it. I get what it's like to be criticized and feel like it's unfair. But Baker Mayfield, I don't have confidence that he can deliver when he needs to in a situation where he needs to throw to win, but we will find out. I hope he does. We'll find out when that moment comes down the road. Now let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys because, oh my God. The Browns are up 41-14 going into the fourth quarter. 41-14 going into the fourth quarter. That's absurd. The Cowboys have so many problems. Now, I keep getting messages from Cowboys fans that are saying, Zach, you were so right about Dak Prescott. And I actually don't, Sunday I kept looking at my phone going like, what do you mean? Like, right about what? And we'll talk about Dak Prescott in a minute, but I want to be very, very clear about one thing. The Cowboys have way, way bigger problems right now than their quarterback, Dak Prescott. Number one, did anybody watch the game on Sunday? Because the Cowboys got manhandled on defense, embarrassed. It was awful. They gave up 49 points, and they could not stop the Browns running the football to say if their lives were on the line, they wouldn't have made it. The Browns literally did anything they wanted running the football. Now, the Cowboys defense, in my opinion, really needs two things. Number one, they need a quality interior lineman. A guy like that would help in the running game. It would also really help and benefit the Cowboys defensive end, DeMarcus Lawrence. They need an interior lineman. They also really need help in the secondary. I would love to see them out of safety. I think Earl Thomas is sitting out there going, hey, dude, Dallas, sign me. Your team is terrible at safety. I'm an all-pro safety. I might be a pain to work with, but sign me because I will come in and play better than what you have right now. The guys playing safety right now so badly need help with discipline in their secondary. It's bad to watch. I mean, in the first four games, the Cowboys, in the first four games of the year, the Cowboys have given up 38 points or more, by the way. 38 points or more 3 times. One of those games they won, by the way, which is just it was a mess. If the Falcons had not had a total meltdown, the Atlanta Falcons hadn't had a crazy, absurd moment where they fell apart at the end of a game, the Dallas Cowboys would be 0-4. They're 1-3. It could be even worse, and it should be even worse. They gave up over 400 yards passing to Seattle. They gave up over 300 yards rushing to Cleveland. The Rams had 422 total yards of offense. The Falcons had 570. The Falcons had 570 yards of total offense. By the way, the Falcons lost that game. Says more about the Falcons than about the Cowboys. The Cowboys' biggest problem is our defense. I'm not a stats guy. The reason I say all those numbers, though, is to show you that teams are running the ball on them. They're throwing the ball on them. Balanced offenses are doing anything. It doesn't matter what you do. Everybody who lines up against the Dallas Cowboys is phenomenal. Historically phenomenal. Now, one problem I see in Dallas that nobody, especially people that are Cowboys fans, are willing to talk about. I'll say it. I don't have a problem coming out and saying this. One problem in Dallas is their running back, Ezekiel Elliott. And I want to be very, very clear. Let me drink some pineapple juice, then I will tell you what I mean by that. Because I don't want people to be like, you hate Ezekiel Elliott! Ah! And people still will, but they're wrong. That's not what I'm saying here. So let me be very, very clear. Ezekiel Elliott is a top-notch running back. He's really, really good. It's obvious. It's clear. He runs the ball well. He's good in the passing game. But it's also clear to me that Dallas is overpaying Ezekiel Elliott. You may not like to hear that, but we have learned, especially watching football this year, that in today's NFL, you don't need to pay a running back big-time money to get big-time production. It's just a fact of life in the NFL right now. You may not agree with my philosophy on running backs, and that's fine, but hear me out at least. Number one, running backs do not win football games. I remember a couple years ago when a rival of the Cowboys, the New York Giants, drafted Saquon Barkley in the NFL draft. And I went, a running back with one of the top picks and a top 3 pick in the NFL. Huh. And what happened? Have they been incredibly successful since that happened? They have not. Was Saquon Barkley the missing thing they needed to win football games? No. And it's not entirely fair. I know I'm framing it in a way, but my point is that ask New York. And this is the beginning of a lot of stuff I have to say. Le'Veon Bell went to the Jets. Have they won a lot since then? No. Saquon Barkley went 4-12 last year with the New York Giants. You need way more than a running back to win. My point is running backs are not the key focal thing you need to win. You pay a quarterback, you pay a defensive end. I would not pay a running back. I don't think they have a gigantic impact on whether or not you win football games. But they do help for sure. Let me be clear. Now, Ezekiel Elliott is making around $10.9 million against the salary cap this year in 2020. He will be a $13.7 million cap hit next year and a $16.5 million salary cap hit 2 years from now. Here's a list of guys who can give you similar production numerically, like numbers and stats. I know I'm not a big stats guy, but here are guys who can do give you similar production to Ezekiel Elliott for way, way less money. Number one, James Robinson. I think a bit unfair, but he's an undrafted free agent with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody saw him coming. That's why I would not hold it against the Cowboys. But hey, he's getting paid $611,000. He's running well. He's catching the ball. He's doing everything for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's really, really good. And they're paying him nothing. Then there's a bunch of other guys on rookie contracts. Josh Jacobs, $2.7 million. Nick Chubb in Cleveland, $2 million. Buffalo's running back, Devin Singletary, not even that, $933,000. Nothing. Devin Singletary makes less than $1 million to be starting running back in the NFL. He's doing very, very well. Ronald Jones in Tampa, $1.9 million. Jonathan Taylor, $1.4 million. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, $1.9 million. My point is, Ezekiel Elliott is making $10.9 million this year against the salary cap, and you could have all 7 of those names I just listed for 11.5. You could have 7 people instead of 1 Ezekiel Elliott. And Ezekiel Elliott's very, very good. He's not worth that. Bring in Josh Jacobs. Bam. Problem solved. Bring in, Jonathan Taylor with the Indianapolis Colts was a 2nd-round pick. Trade Ezekiel Elliott. Bring in Jonathan Taylor. Problem solved. You got a guy who can run the ball really well. And I know they're like, he's a receiving back too. My point is you can find someone to do, if not all of what Ezekiel Elliott does production-wise, very, very close for a fraction of the money. You can get quality production at running back for far cheaper than the Cowboys are paying Ezekiel Elliott. Instead of paying Zeke over $10 million, pay a rookie running back $2 million, that's on the high end, by the way, and get your defense some help. Spend that money elsewhere. Go get an interior lineman. Go get a safety. Go get another corner. Pay other people. Because paying the running back does nothing. It's not helping you. Right now in the NFL, running backs are replaceable. It's a thing that nobody's talking about with the Dallas Cowboys, is that the Ezekiel Elliott contract is bad. It's not a knock against Ezekiel Elliott. It's just the way the market works right now. You shouldn't pay a running back. It's brutal. It's not fair. Running backs feel slighted. I get it. But the reality is 5 years into your career, draft a new one. They're replaceable. Is that great to say? I don't like saying that, right? I know a lot of these guys. I get DMs from people in the NFL. They're like, I play running back. I hate that you say that. I get it. But it's also a fact of life. If you're a general manager, if you're the person spending the money, you don't give a running back a contract. Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, got sentimental. And I get it. I mean, he is a staple of their franchise. What are the Cowboys without Ezekiel Elliott? I don't know right now. He's like the face. Him and Dak are the face of their franchise. And yet I don't think Ezekiel Elliott is actually helping them that much. He's kind of a hindrance. They're paying him too much money, and they could be spending that money in other ways. Now, Dallas, yes, absolutely they need help on defense. Zeke's not playing negatively. He's just getting overpaid. But they could spend that money elsewhere. Now, I want to talk about the Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott. I've always said, and I want to be very clear, I've always said Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. He is a good quarterback. He's good. He's not great. He's very, very good. My criticism of Dak Prescott has always been, I've been very consistent on this, because it's been the same problem for a long time. If a new problem arises, or if he fixes this problem, I will change my mind, because I'm notorious for, when I get new information, I change what I have to say. But what holds Dak Prescott back is a lack of awareness and attention to detail in key moments. Drives me nuts. People love to talk about Dak Prescott's numbers and statistics. He puts up this many yards and this many touchdowns to blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, great. Let's talk about that for a minute. So on Sunday against Cleveland, he had 502 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. By the way, the Cleveland Browns dropped not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions on Sunday. Some of them were on scoring drives. So what if instead of 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, the Cowboys lost the way they did, giving up 49 points, down 14-41 going into the fourth quarter? And what if Dak Prescott had 2 touchdowns, and if the Cleveland can catch the ball, it's 2 touchdowns, and Dak would have had 4 interceptions? That's a different story. People would be, and that's why I don't trust stats, because you can look at the numbers and go, oh, he's great, but what happened behind the numbers, behind the scenes? Did he have a lot of turnover-worthy plays? Did he have a lot of bad decisions? Yes, yes, yes. That's why, again, I say Dak's good. But it drives me nuts. Dak has problems. I will say Dak's fine. The defense is the big problem in Dallas. That's the main problem. But here is the Dak Prescott mistake that, oh boy, it just drove me nuts on Sunday. I kept watching going, how? How is this happening? So as a quarterback, one of the number one things you have to understand, you always need to know where pressure is coming from. It's your job to know when you are going to be under pressure. And multiple times, Dak Prescott was sacked. Once he even fumbled in a situation where Myles Garrett, the Browns defensive end, a former number 1 overall pick, clearly really, really good, was in a one-on-one matchup with the right tackle. And Dak showed a lack of awareness. He didn't seem to understand or take that situation seriously, that, hey, when Myles Garrett is in a one-on-one situation, you cannot hold on to the ball. 1-1,000, 1-1,002, ball's got to be gone. The clock is ticking. You cannot hold on to the ball when you have Myles Garrett in a one-on-one situation. It drove me nuts. Dak Prescott repeatedly did not seem to understand the gravity of that situation. Myles Garrett in a one-on-one matchup is a nightmare for you. You can't hold on to the ball. It really cost Dallas. And it's little things like that every time I watch Dak Prescott, I go, there's always one little thing that needs work. It's a lack of attention to detail. It's a lack of awareness. It's the small thing. Dak is always missing. And I go, Dak's very good. He's not the biggest problem in Dallas. He's also, it's a lack of attention to detail and awareness in big moments on key downs that drives me nuts about Dak Prescott. It's what's holding him back, and we're a long way into his career. I don't know what's going to change, and that's a problem with Dak Prescott. That's a problem with the Cowboys. The big problem they have is defense. I think it's somewhat of a symptom of overpaying Ezekiel Elliott, and I wish they would have paid other people rather than Ezekiel Elliott, gotten a rookie running back who could have done that job pretty well. I know that's controversial. I know that makes people mad. That's honestly what I see when I look at the Dallas Cowboys.